William Blake's London is a suitably apocalyptic poem that clearly comes from the Songs of Experience. The critic Donald Alt reads this poem as having a written form that works against reducing it to a single stable meaning. Basically, he argues that we're always being forced to revise how we read the poem as we go through it. So, to illustrate that, looking at the punctuation of the first stanza, I wander through each chartered street near where the chartered Thames does flow. What comes at the end of this sentence? In this version, it's a period. In the textbook version, it's a comma. If we look at Blake's original engraving, and keeping in mind that Blake did very little punctuating in the engravings because it was more work, we actually see no punctuation at all at the end of where the chartered Thames does flow. Now, just think about the different potential readings of this line with these various forms of punctuation. If there's no punctuation at all, as in Blake's version, I wander through each chartered street near where the chartered Thames does flow, and mark. If the line simply flows on without any punctuation, it's almost as if the chartered Thames does flow and mark. It marks the boundary of London, for example. With the period, if we take the first two lines as separate, then when we start to read the third line and mark, it's almost an imperative, which we then have to revise by the time we get to the end of the line. And mark in every face I meet. Okay, so it's not the speaker telling you to mark. It is as we would imagine from a comma being there. The implied subject of mark is in fact I. Alt's point is that we keep having to make these revisions as we read along. Similarly, in the final stanza, again, if we look at Blake's own engraving, there are no apostrophes in youthful harlots or newborn infants. And again, Blake didn't punctuate a whole lot. But again, if we look at how we read these lines, but most through midnight streets I hear how the youthful harlots curse. That line makes it seem as if the harlots are cursing. They're in the act of doing something. But the third line forces us to revise that, because now we realize curse has to be a noun because it's doing something. Curse blasts the newborn infant's tear. So again, the lack of punctuation and the way the syntax of the lines work make us have to kind of continue to revise and think about what the actual meaning of the line is. So Alt's point is that the poem refuses to be reduced to a single meaning. It's constantly changing. We can note also in this poem the frequent use of repetition: chartered street, chartered Thames, marks of weakness, marks of woe, and the cries in stanza 2. Again, this repetition expresses the very mechanical, circumscribed nature of the world that Blake is describing here. These streets that he's walking down all have this aspect of sameness and repetition, just as the marks of weakness, marks of woe are pervasive. They're everywhere. Everybody has them. And significantly, this is also a poem that's filled with double meanings. A mark can be, as in line 3, an observation. I observe in every face I meet. And the marks are the things that are observed. But marks can also be signs, like words on a page. Marks on the page. Similarly, in every voice, in every ban, ban here has the double meaning of a ban is a prohibition, but a ban with two N's is a marriage announcement, which is echoed again in the final line of Marriage Hearse. So the ban, the ban, a marriage ban, which is supposed to be a positive, happy thing, is linked with the idea of prohibition, which is part of Blake's typical complaint about the institutions he's attacking here, is that they are based on prohibitions and not allowing us to do things. We also see how he produces meanings through juxtaposition. Blackening church, marriage hearse. Again, the hypocrisy of these institutions is being foregrounded by connecting two apparently unlike things and yoking them together in a way that creates this grotesque parody. Notice also how the poem begins with the act of seeing, marking, in the first stanza, but after that it becomes very much about hearing. That stanza 2 is all of the things I hear, including the mind-forged manacles, one of the famous phrases from Blake. But these are not things that you see or feel, but he hears them. And notice how in stanza 3 we even have an acrostic emphasizing the imperative to hear, H-E-A-R, as the beginning of each line. And then that's reinforced again in the final stanza. But most through midnight streets I hear. The primary sense in this poem is that of listening. So again, all of these things in Alt's argument work to prevent us from settling into one single meaning of this poem. It's constantly sending us in different directions and forcing us to revise the things that we think we know about the poem.